time for a break. Grab a coffee, get comfy, and catch up with old friends. Join us for an easy chat on all the biggest news stories of the day on ICRT Break Down, a bilingual 2030 policy program brought to you in cooperation with the National Development Council.
Let me tell you, this coffee I'm having right now is like the best thing that's happened to me today. Because earlier today, I got stuck with my insurance bill for my car. Can you believe that?
No. How much did you have to pay this year?
Almost like 30,000 NT just for a stupid car.
Wow.
The liability insurance.
Yeah.
But that's the compulsory liability insurance that I have to drive my car every day.
第三责任险是 liability insurance.
Yeah, it's a real killer, you know?
Have you been in any accidents before?
That's just it. I have like a perfect driving record. I've been in no accidents. I know Jane is laughing over there, but it's true. It's true. I've had no accidents in like the last 5 years or so.
Wow, that's
actually probably longer than that. But still, I guess it's that liability insurance. It's always a possibility that something's going to happen.
Right,
and that's why you need the insurance.
Yeah, that's compulsory. Yeah, 这是义务的，这是必须要买的第三责任险。It's always a just in case, really, insurance, isn't it? I mean, you pick it up because you think something is going to happen, and you hedge your bets, and you think that if it's going to happen, maybe you need to get some kind of protection.
Exactly.
Right. 保险是一定要买的，因为万一发生什么事 in Taiwan, the like earthquake and typhoon, those are the things that are bound to happen every year.
So I have a question. Was there ever insurance for COVID? I mean, why would you do that though, right? I mean, insurance for COVID would be masks and drugs.
Drugs?
Drugs.
Medicine,
drugs.
you mean?
Medicines. Yes. Medicines.
Speak
cold
clearly
medicines.
There, Hope. You had me confused.
Cold drugs.
Okay.
Cold medicines.
Okay.
Yeah, 防疫保险 pandemic or epidemic policy.
But wait a minute, I hope you're not right, because I remember over a year ago, there was long lines of people lining up to buy insurance for COVID.
They were lining up to buy masks.
There were the lines for masks, but I think there was also lines for insurance. Aren't I right, Jane?
Right. Yeah, people were lining up because in those days, the premium is quite cheap. Premium 就是保费. The premium was, I remember, 500 NT, and the compensation can be up to 100,000 NT.
Wow, that's a good investment, I suppose, if you happen to have that payout.
That's not the right mindset.
Oh, you are correct again. I'm sorry. We don't buy insurance because we want to get the money.
No, we don't.
We just want to have some insurance,
right?
Protection if something bad does happen.
Right. 防疫保险并不是为了要像你买乐透一样希望赚钱，你是希望能够有多一点保障。那这样万一染疫了的话，你只要丢掉工作，或者是必须去医院得到治疗，那就可以得到一些保费的补偿。
I'm going to plead ignorance and ask, under what conditions would you have been able to claim pandemic insurance?
I think back in those days, it's just the coronavirus was quite serious. It would make you very sick and you need to be in hospitals. And so in those cases, the insurance will compensate your medical bills. If you get any medical treatment at hospitals, then the insurance company will pay.
And I think we have to remember, too, back then, there was all the reports, first from China and then from overseas, Italy and then the States, of people being in the hospital for weeks on end and being on their deathbeds almost.
Right, and
so
hooked up to the ventilators.
Exactly, on the ventilators, and they're being incubated.
Intubated.
Intubated, right. Incubated is a different concept.
Different medical concept.
Okay. I haven't had enough coffee yet this morning, excuse me.
You can be excused.
So yeah, people being intubated.
Intubated 意思就是插管吗？
对，没错。
这以前的 coronavirus 新冠肺炎是很严重的，那病人经常需要插管，甚至要有那个氧气机帮忙呼吸，那都是保险都会支付，但是现在好像就不太需要了。
But things have changed, right? I mean, we're talking about vaccines, which I think are very important, because if you don't get vaccinated, that could all happen. It could all backslide, and it could all happen still, right? Even with all the drugs that are available today. Drugs.
with good vaccination,
medicines.
With high vaccination rates, and also with the Omicron variant, it doesn't cause a lot of serious symptoms.
And I think another thing to remember, Jane, is not only to be vaccinated, but to be boosted.
Right.
And I know this confuses a lot of my friends here because when they say boosted, they don't quite understand. But in English, it's just, 第三剂 is just meaning you're boosted. You've had that extra shot to give you extra protection.
对 ，booster 就是追加剂。那我们在这里比较不会讲追加剂，而是讲第三剂。那很重要的是，不能只打2剂，要打3剂，这样才能有足够的保护。
So you would think that the vaccines are a good enough insurance policy against COVID, don't you think?
For most people, I believe, yeah, that should be enough.
But a lot of these policies were sold probably before the vaccines were prevalent in Taiwan. So there still was that fear. If you got sick, you may be really sick. So it was a problem.
Right.
I don't understand what the problem is. I mean, I get that people probably wanted to buy more than masks and they probably spent more money on this insurance policy. So what's the problem?
Well, if you want to feel more protected, probably some people would go out and buy more policies, and that would increase disputes or some controversies when it comes to compensation. 有的人会觉得他要多买几张保单，那这个时候保险公司就可能会引发一些争议。这个时候金管会 the Financial Supervisory Commission would intervene. 那这时候金管会也许就会要来做一些调整。
But Jane, that is a good point because I have auto insurance for my car, but I've never bought like more than one policy to cover my car. I've never even thought of doing that. So it's kind of weird that people would buy more than one policy for COVID.
Yeah, but a lot of people would buy multiple policies for their life insurance.
Okay.
Really?
Okay. Yeah.
I bought life insurance too.
How many lives do you have, Tim?
I know. I only have one
That's
policy.
a very good question.
And the problem is I'm still alive, so I can't collect on the policy.
You have to die first, right?
I know. Okay, we're getting off subject here again.
No, you don't want to die, Tim.
No, I don't.
Okay.
But so why would people buy more than one
I think
policy?
it has a lot to do with the mindset. I think it has a lot to do with whether you want to treat your insurance policy as lottery.
Right, or just as being insurance.
Right.
And maybe also that the fact that some of the policies you said were very inexpensive.
Right.
And so people just thought, hey, why not?
Right.
Okay, just to talk about inexpensive policies. When you travel insurance isn't very expensive, but you don't buy multiple policies to go travel.
You would only increase the premium so
Yeah.
that you can probably get
more money
coverage,
back,
right?
That's what I would have thought would have been the thing. You get something that's a bit more expensive, so you get a little bit more money back. But you don't buy 5 policies for one trip. That's my
Normal people don't know, but
You're saying I'm not normal? Is that what you're saying?
you said you only buy one policy, so you're normal because you only buy one.
Okay, I'm still trying to work out what the problem is, because then you've got the FSC talking about how these insurance companies may have a problem paying out. Why would there be a problem paying out if they sold these policies? I mean, wouldn't you sell a policy with the assumption that you can cover?
I think they didn't expect the outbreak of the pandemic. They thought that there would be the situation in Taiwan would remain stable for a long time, and they didn't expect the outburst of all these caseloads.
I like the
Right.
way you describe outburst.
Yeah, because for 2 years, basically, Taiwan did a good job of controlling the
Right.
pandemic.
Right.
But it was a situation that could never possibly be controlled forever.
Right.
Unsustainable.
It's unsustainable, exactly.
Exactly, yeah. And so that's the reason why some of the smaller insurance companies would have problem paying all these claims.
So they could have gone under, is what you're saying?
Oh, that's what we heard.
Oh, no wonder.
And so the FSC is trying to see how they can help to maybe...
Maintain market stability, I suppose.
Right.
Okay. That makes sense.
Okay, I guess I haven't been following this story enough. The insurance companies are being protected from going under. They sold these policies when they didn't have the financial backing to pay out because they didn't think they would have to. So weren't the insurance companies playing lotto too with people's money? Am I asking a
I think
silly
maybe
question?
the situation changed so quickly, and perhaps they weren't adjusting their policies quickly enough to keep up with the changing situation. And so I guess that's why maybe all of us should exercise a bit more caution at times.
有的状况是保险公司没有办法预料到的，所以他们原先也不会想到说必须要花这么多钱来赔偿，所以有的公司就可能面临这个财务的压力，这个金管会就必须来看有什么办法可以维持这市场的稳定。
And I think the last 2 years has kind of taught all of us that this pandemic has been very hard to guess what direction it's going to take and how it's going to end up.
Indeed.
Very
Even
unpredictable.
Omicron, we weren't expecting that before. And so I think we've all been kind of caught unawares at times.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we knew that we would have to eventually open up, right? And we knew that we would eventually have to walk through this whole valley of darkness, as it were. I guess nobody thought about the consequences and the ramifications of what going through this entire experience would be for different sectors and different industries in Taiwan. Is that what
That's why I think we should really try to learn from other nations' experiences. Sometimes we see all these good or bad things happening in the other countries, but it seems that sometimes we are not learning enough from others.
I think it's hard sometimes for people to learn everything they should know because
that's true.
People like to be optimistic, or maybe sometimes we're a little bit too lazy. And
right.
So,
and the situation of
Hope's looking at me like, hey, don't say I'm lazy.
No, I don't think the word lazy was correct, because I actually thought that the problem I felt was that I think that each country had such a unique experience.
That's very
we
true
were talking
too.
about that today too, right? How a 10% baseline margin.
Right. And yeah, that's what the health minister was saying, that based on other countries' experiences, the infection rate would fall between 10% and 15%.
That's right.
But in many places, in many cities in Taiwan, we are not seeing 10%.
We're seeing much less, aren't we?
Right. We're only seeing an infection rate of like 7%, 6%.
Which is a good sign.
Which is a good sign, because people here really know how to refrain themselves from going to public places. They try to stop their trips. They mostly stay home, which are good. But
and overall, people here have been very willing to wear their masks when they're in public and stuff like that.
I'm really not willing to wear it. But I have to.
The rest of the population is pretty willing. Jane, well, she's another story, but hey.
So I guess what I'm saying is it's very difficult to learn when there is such a short period of time for people to learn something and to absorb what's happening. There's not enough time to process what's going on almost, and we fly by at the seat of our pants most of the time.
要随时做出反应，这是一句片语哦。Fly by the seat of
your pants，
对，是随时看你的这个坐下来的部分，看那个状况是怎样，然后做出反应来。
That's kind of a hard expression to translate into Chinese.
It is hard, but it's very lively. It's an interesting phrase.
It's a very visual phrase.
Right.
So when you imagine people to fly by the seat of their pants, you're imagining that they're having to guess at what's going to happen next because they can't predict what's going to happen. And I can imagine that these insurance companies are flying by the seat of their pants right now because they don't really know what's going to happen next, right?
But I think I can tell you what's going to happen next. We need to fly by the seats of our pants to get back to the office.
Guess who's driving?
Okay, I'll drive you guys.
Breaking the ice, breaking the mold, breaking down the news. You've been listening to ICRT Breakdown, a bilingual 2030 policy program brought to you in association with the National Development Council.